Hey guys, what's going on? Jasmine here, owner of Redemption Close. I want to do a case study today of a previous student named Chris. I love his story, and his story is actually not very unique, but he was going through a really hard time in his business. He had just hired a new mentor. In fact, we shared the same business coach. So he invested thousands of dollars into mentorship, into programs, into softwares to build out his dream fitness program that was designed to really like transform lives. He was passionate about it. He was just really ready to make this business take off. And really, where he kept getting stuck is just hearing consistent no's, or I need to think about it, or your program's too expensive when he would get on the phone with prospects. So obviously this is discouraging because, we enter this new business with all of the optimism and enthusiasm, and we think this is going to just take off. And sometimes we find out quickly that it's not always that easy. So not knowing what to say when a prospect says I need to think about it, not really knowing why they're saying no, how they go from sounding super excited to just like, oh, okay, let me get back to you. And just things like that. He was having a hard time just earning new clients and obviously making the income that he wanted. So just a quick backstory at the time, Redemption Close did not exist. Chris and I shared a mentor, and I had an insane transformation story with my own business, my own sales, to where my mentor was like, can you please lead sales trainings? Can you be our sales trainer, and help your peers get from, where they're at to making consistent $10,000 months? So that obviously meant that I was really helping my peers nail down sales. That was my expertise, is like they came forth already having their program built, knowing what their offer was, and I helped them sell it. I helped them get their prospects to say yes. So with Chris, we focused on three things that got him from hearing back to back to back no's to literally getting 6 new clients in the span of a week, week and a half. He very quickly doubled his income. And not just that, but he felt so much better in his business. He started to, before working together, he was feeling like, oh, these sales calls, they feel just so heavy. Like I'm having to convince someone to do something they don't want to do. And I'm like, feeling pushy. So obviously that didn't feel good. Chris, being a highly motivated individual, was getting on a sales call. I was like, all right, let's close, let's do this. So we had to really work on not only his mindset, but his sales strategy and a few things that helped him radically transform not only the way that he was entering his sales calls, but how his business felt. So let's go over exactly what we did and how we got Chris from hearing consistent no's to very consistent yeses. So number one, we had to work on his mindset. I mentioned briefly that Chris was a highly motivated individual. Like he had the like closer mentality, right? If you've dabbled in any other sales trainings, you know that it's always like very, very high level, type A, like close their client and handle their objections. And that was the way he was approaching his sales calls, is like, I'm going to get them to a yes. And that obviously doesn't feel good for your prospects when you're, having a very vulnerable conversation about your body, about your self-image, your weight, whatever it is, and you're on the phone with somebody who's just trying to close. It just they're mismatched. It wasn't working. It wasn't working for Chris, and it hadn't been working for me when I was in a point in my business where I was really struggling to close clients myself before I came up with the redemption close method. So one thing I told Chris, because I did listen to a couple of his like call recordings, and I'm like, Chris, this feels like very high stress. Like, I get it, you're excited, you're motivated, but it feels like pressure. And he's like, well, I mean, these are the scripts I was given because obviously our mentor did give us scripts to work off of, and it was very like get to the point, pushy. So I'm like, okay, let's make some pivots here. Instead of getting onto your sales call like I'm going to close a new client, I want you to get on your sales call having not even a clue on what the outcome will be and being completely okay with that not knowing. I want you to not go in to really do anything. You are a blank slate. You are completely detached from any outcome, which means if they say no, if they're not a good fit, if they can't afford it, you're not going to feel any type of way about that. Like, I need you to really detach yourself from any possible outcome. And he's like, okay, I could tell this, was different for him because we are taught, like, get on the call, close a client. So I had to really work on the energetics here because it's like at the end of the day, we really don't know how this call will end. And when I was deep in my fitness coaching business, I pretty much never got a no on a sales call, but it didn't matter. Every single time I got on that call, I didn't know what the outcome would be. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm not going to get so confident and cocky to think, oh, this is going to close. Even though, I mean, according to the numbers, it was a very high probability that it would close. I never wanted to get into that mindset, into that energy of like, yeah, I'm going to close them. The call is not for me. The call is not for me to close a client, for me to decide if I like them. The call is to see if I can be a stepping stone in this person getting from where they are to where they want to be. And most of the time, I was the answer for that. I could help them do that. Sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes they weren't a good fit. Sometimes I wasn't a good fit for them. Sometimes they truly just were not in the right headspace. So I didn't want to get into this mentality of like, oh, I know how this call is going to end. I didn't. I was there to find out. Okay. So, working on the mindset going in, also, I would tell Chris, like, I need you to not only say this to yourself, but say this out loud that this sales call is for them. It's to find out what they need and if or how you can help them get to what they want. At the end of the day, these transformations are not for us. Yes, it feels good as a coach to help somebody transform their body, but this person's transformation is about them. And we're here to help them. This is not for us. So I had to really wire that into Chris's mindset. Is like, we need to totally change how we're approaching these sales calls and not only tell ourselves, but tell them, hey, this is not a sales call. This is us figuring out what you need and determining if or how it can get you there. And if we're a good fit and we both are a hell yes after this call, then awesome. Then I'll roll out an offer or I'll present you an offer and we'll go from there. But if not, like it's completely okay to say no. It's completely okay to say, Jazz, Chris, it's not a good fit. I wanted my prospects to know this. And you could just see the weight lifted off their shoulders when I would say this at the beginning of the sales call. And I would tell Chris to say this at the beginning of the sales call. And don't say this as a tactic to lower their defenses. Say this because this is true. Because if they are not a good fit, you need to be secure and comfortable to say, hey, it's not a good fit. Or if they tell you that, you need to be humble enough to accept that and to not try to, twist their arm into doing something that they're not ready to do or that is not right for them to do. Okay. The goal of the call is always to work in the best interest of the prospect or the potential client. If you want a business that feels good, that has longevity, that also brings you referrals, or where your clients are signing on over and over again with you, this is how you do it. It's not being pushy or sleazy or using all the tactics and techniques against your prospect. It's to actually genuinely care and genuinely want what's best for your prospect. So, working on this mindset, toning down the like motivated type A, we're going to close this, toning that down and just showing up as a human being. I'm like, Chris, you can rev that back up once you're coaching them and be like, all right, let's get it. They're going to need that. They're going to need your motivation, your certainty, your confidence, all of that. They're going to need your drive, but not during the sales call. Tone that down and be here for them. The second thing that we worked on is the actual content of the sales call. So I may have mentioned this when we were working with this mentor. We were given sales scripts. Basically, our mentor is like, say these things and your prospect will say yes every time, blah, blah, blah. And the script itself was not set up for everybody. It was not set, I should say it was not set up for most of us. So the script was very much about like us trying to figure out if they're a good fit for us as coaches. And I understand that mentality, but it just wasn't working. And I mentioned briefly why that doesn't work. So we had to shift the questions we were asking, the content of the sales call, to not really qualifying them for us, but getting an understanding of where they are and where they want to be for themselves. So it was asking questions like that, like if you were to envision yourself in 90 days, how would you feel? How would you look? What would people say about you? What would you say about yourself? Like, so just getting them so clear on what their desired outcome is. Because most of your prospects are going to be clear about, I just don't want to be fat. I just don't want to have this muffin top. I just don't want to have, these love handles. And they will completely beat themselves up on your sales call and tell you all the things that are wrong about their body and all the things they don't like. And we want to shift this a little bit to be like, okay, what is the outcome you want? How does that feel? What does that look like? And really help them build up this image of like, yeah, that's what I want. That's how I want to feel. And we want to instill the confidence in them that not only can we help them get there, but they can get there. Because many people are in this state of mind where they're just so fixated on the problem and they don't really see a way out. And part of them wants to fix it, right? That's why they're on the phone with you. But part of them also isn't sure that they can, or that they will, or that they'll follow through, or that you're qualified to do it, or that you can get them to stop these BS cycles that they've been going through and actually help them transform. So the sales call questions had to really turn into us just getting to know them. What do you want for real? What does it actually look like? And keep digging into this more and more and more and more. And we will find that not only are we getting more leverage and not leverage to close them and to use that against them, but to really be like standing up for them if they're, backing out or getting scared. But it also helps them have leverage too, because they have all these limiting beliefs, right? All these voices in their head that are saying, like, not now, don't do it. It's expensive. It's this, it's that. You don't deserve it. You should be spending that money and paying off your debt, or you have kids, you should be putting that towards the kids. They're going to have all of these excuses and objections in their minds as to why they shouldn't do it. So when you have spent, 45 minutes, an hour talking about what it is that they really, really want, then now you can help better stand up for them when these limiting beliefs are coming in, convincing them not to do something that they know they need to do. And they've been speaking it out loud. They've been feeling it, envisioning it for 30, 45, an hour. And now they also are like, man, I do deserve this. I do want this. I do want to put my best foot forward here. So it's such a difference in feeling and energy when we're going about the sales call like this, just inquiring about their desires instead of like, why should I work with you? Why did you choose me? Like just qualifying questions like that a lot of these sales scripts do. So we shifted that a little bit or a lot. And that was a huge difference because Chris was like, yeah, that feels a lot better. Like I listened to new recordings of his sales calls. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that sounds so much better. You just feel so much more natural. Your prospects feel so much more comfortable. You're not having to be like, okay, like what do I say? What do I say? Like it felt so flowy and it just felt really good. And that's key because we're helping people through a very vulnerable time in their lives. We don't want to be pushy here. The third thing that we did that massively contributed to Chris's success is we changed the structure of his sales process. So many traditional sales processes look like this. It's like you're posting on social media, someone feels motivated and inspired, or maybe you drop an offer in your stories and you're like, hey, I'm taking new clients, and a conversation starts in the DMs. And you're like, oh, what's your goals and how much weight do you want to lose and blah, blah, blah. And usually from there, we say, okay, let's get on a call. And this call is the sales call. It's a big hill to jump in a short period of time. So what we did with Chris is like we need to ramp this up and really kind of put a couple steps before the sales call. We got to warm them up. We have to also build rapport and establish our authority and just do different things that will enable us to actually coach and lead them on the sales call. So what I had Chris do is add in a 15-minute discovery call before the sales call. And I would tell him, like, make sure that your prospects know this is not a sales call. So when they're in the DMs, like, hey, you want to hop on a call, just something casual, really quick, 10, 15 minutes. I just want to, see where you're at. So usually this call will happen right away. You're in the DMs, hey, are you free right now? Or can you chat later on tonight? You want to make this quick. So you get on the phone and just say, hey, so what's up? Like, what's bringing you here? What are you trying to accomplish? And just get a general idea of where they're at. With this discovery call, you'll also get a really good idea of where they're at in their commitment. Like, is this something that they've been really thinking about for a while, or is it like, yeah, I'm kind of just wondering, just asking. I think your workout videos look cool, and just trying to see what you're up to. And that's okay, by the way, because these people could come back later on and be clients, but usually we're looking for somebody a little bit more committed. So either way, we want to get on this discovery call, just feel the energy, see where it's at. If both of you decide that it's a good fit to get onto the sales call, then I had Chris add in homework. And this homework can kind of be whatever you want it to be. It's up to you as a coach. With Chris, we put in like a questionnaire. So we just got an idea of like just details of their lifestyle, what they think has been getting in the way, how often do they eat out, or how often do they currently work out, what's their skill level, whatever. He put together just a very basic questionnaire on type form that he had them fill out. Second thing is I had him ask his prospects to submit before photos. And this was a big one because many of our prospects, they kind of sugarcoat where they're at or they are in denial. And they'll be like, yeah, I really want to do this, I really want to do that. And they haven't really like faced their starting point. So I've so many times when I've gone on my own sales calls and I'll ask my prospect, yeah, how was the homework? How'd it go? They'd be like, wow, taking those before photos, like I couldn't get on this call fast enough. Like I didn't realize, how far things got or how much I had let myself go or, like I didn't realize X, Y, and Z. So now they're feeling highly motivated, like, oh shit, I need to do something about this. And not all of your prospects, of course, will come from a place of like, I don't like my body. Some of you might be working with bodybuilders or, athletes, whatever it is. But nonetheless, like getting a really good idea of their starting point, really, really helps. So we get on this call and they're more in a position to make a decision. Like, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to look like this. I don't want this to be my reality anymore. And then from here, we're able to be like, okay, let's work on some solutions. How do we get you from point A to point B? What do we need to do? So this little bit here, the homework and the discovery call massively affected the outcome of the longer sales call. And if you watching this now do not have this setup, you are drastically not only doing a disservice to your prospects, but you're leaving a bunch of money and clients on the table. This is an essential part of your sales process. And it's also something that I teach in detail in the Redemption Close program, like exactly what to say on that discovery call, what types of homework to do, how to deliver it, how to follow up with it, how to hold your clients accountable, because you are going to get prospects on the sales call. They're like, oh, I forgot to do the call or the photos. I just felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to, or I lost track of time or the kids, blah, blah, blah. And how to handle these situations, how to maintain your authority, because all of these small components before the sales call massively affect the outcome of the sales call. When you get on that sales call, although I don't want you to think like this, you should know that this call is mostly closed already. And again, I don't want you to go and be like, oh yeah, this is closed. I don't have to, like, no, I want you to go in humble, but your sales calls should be pretty much closed before you ever even get on them, just based off of your sales process, your strategy, the questioning, the homework, all of it. So these are three things that Chris and I worked on together. We on his mindset going into his calls, exactly what he was saying on the call, shifting it from qualifying his people to work with him, but like more so just like inquiring what's their desire, what do they want, and then also the setup of the sales process. And this, just him implementing these small changes, affected things immediately for his business and the success of his sales calls. So I hope this was helpful. This is what helped Chris go from consistent no's to like 6 back-to-back yeses. And I'm sure he's still closing today and still kicking ass in his business. But these are just a few things that we shifted for him that made just a huge difference. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you have some things to implement now. And if you are ready to start closing and changing more lives and making more money and doing it with so much more ease, then you definitely want to check out the Redemption Close course. I go through every single component of the sales process with you, how to tweak it, modify it, make sure that it is set up for success. So that way, by the time you get on that longer sales call, you just know it's going to be an easy call. It's going to feel like a call with a friend, and you're going to get pretty much guaranteed yeses on your calls. And you'll be able to charge what you're worth. No more discounting your program. No more, charge your high ticket prices that you are worth.